I was born in South Sudan. We live in a village in South Sudan where everyone knows everyone in the camp, in the village. We were in peace. We ran over whatever child can run after. We enjoy the life with our cousins, with other relatives within the village. Before we know it, the war came to our village. At a time, we did not expect it. It was an attack by the government soldier. They start shooting, they start bombing, people run, kids were crying, people got killed in the village. Some of the people lost everything they had. I remember running with my mom, my dad, and my other brother, with our uncle. We tried to run to the bush, and we went to the bush, hid it in the bush for a few hours. It was getting dark. It was also cold. We didn't have any clothes that we were supposed to have. My younger brother, was a baby brother, was crying for milk. And we didn't have our car with us. My mom, my dad wanted, to stop the child from crying because we will be located by enemy. Even me, I was also almost about crying. I was young too. It took us days before we can figure out the way to get out of the village. I think the place they heard would be okay for us if we reach to it was the refugees camp in the border of South Sudan. We would return back to the village. It was that time that we realized that we cannot go back home. We lost everything that we had. They burned our home, so they shifted to go to the refugees camp in Ethiopia. We walk pretty much at night. You don't really know whether you will actually be going to where you're supposed to go. And we had to cross the river. There were a lot of animals in the river, crocodiles, all the hippo, and etc. It was terrible. But until at the end, we arrived in the refugees camp in Ethiopia, and we adjusted to refugees life. I actually had to be conscripted to the military as a very young child. Went to military trainings. After I returned back to the refugees camp in Ethiopia, then few months afterwards, the Ethiopian refugees returned back to South Sudan because there was a regime change in Ethiopia. We went to South Sudan for a while, and then returned back to Ethiopia, where my parents decided that I and my brother have to leave Ethiopia for another opportunity, hoping that when we leave the camp, we might not be recaptured again or conscripted to the military again. So we left, we went to border to Kenya, and then in a refugees camp in Kenya for a while until we had an opportunity to come to the United States. We came to the U.S. as the refugees from South Sudan that settling in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. But situation in Sioux Falls did not keep us there. It was too cold for us. We did not speak the language. We realized that we have friends in Tennessee, in Nashville specifically. Then we decided to return to come to Nashville. Felt like I am now responsible for myself and my brother, so I don't have to rely on anybody else. I have to work 2 jobs. 8 hours here, 8 hours there, make it 16 hours so I can be able to pay the rent. I need the money. I've never had money before. I want to have that responsibility. I also feel like now I can be able to do something to myself and my family back home. I decided to learn English. So I enrolled myself in English. Try to go for 2 days a week. I turned to 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week. A year or so after that, I got my high school diploma. And then there, things had changed. Now I had to, attend Tennessee State University, major in computer science and minor in math. And then afterwards, graduated. I was asked by my parents, you got to marry somebody. Well, I recall when I came to the military, I asked this little girl to give me water. He went to the river, got the water, and gave the water back to me. And I went, wow, when this girl grew up, I'm going to marry her. I connect with my brother, talk to her and her family, and I promised her I'm going to come to the camp to marry you. I went there, married her traditionally, and brought her to America. A lot of women, and mostly women, in my community heard that Gatluak, his new wife, is now being taught in his apartment by Gatluak. And they wanted to join her. And when these people came, my heart never turned people down. But the small apartment now is full of this mother and their children. I say, rent a place and we'll teach you English outside. rented a small place at the back of the door, just like this side. Kept the other one, call it a child care place. I was the one who come here and teach them here, and I call it Sudanese Community and Women's Services Center. I knew I can do it alone. The demand was so high. They came to learn English, but it's not only English that they were looking for. They want to connect with the community. They want to be assist with their renting issue, their immigration issues, with job placement issue, with their children issues, the legal issues that they have. So I became a case manager. Went to Vanderbilt University and talked to some professor. They allowed me to speak to the student at school. The next thing you know is a lot of kids coming. Some of them decided to raise money so we can have more room. Some of them teach now, they can teach better English than I could. Some now can help me with the child care. And that is the beginning of what now we call Nashville International Center for Empowerment. When I see myself in the eye of the people that are coming here. And every single day, when we do something to them, change their hope, bring them some light. Whether it is through disaster, national disaster, or war. They cannot return to their countries because they will be killed. They are not allowed to work in those countries. They cannot do anything with themselves. Imagine a child whose parents run and they hide it somewhere. They try to get killed. Now they suddenly come to America. There's nothing that's more hopeful than trying to give them hope. You can also be successful in this country. You can also regain hope and your life can be rebuilt. They cannot do this without support of organizations like this. We are the largest adult education program in the whole state because we start from the very basics, start from ABCD. Want to make sure you can start from the very basic and go all the way to what you want to be. There's nothing that is rewarding than seeing anybody else succeed. That really kept me here a lot. Talking to Dr. Tudor from South Africa, who says, if we are neutral in the life of the crisis and the injustice that is being done to other people, we're not neutral. We are really choosing the oppressive side. And you cannot live your life when you see your people suffering and doing nothing.